My name is John Beathan with AlternativeHealthTools.com, the podcast, and today is episode 66 titled Theragem Crystal Light Therapy with Catharina Jansma and Mike Broadwell. This recording was originally done using the Expertise.tv system, and if you go to AlternativeHealthTools.com, and at the top you'll see a menu option for live streams, and you can select that option and also be able to watch the full interview on video. I wanted to welcome you both. Mike contacted me, a few days ago or a week? I don't know when it was. Monday? Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday, I think. Tuesday, maybe.
And here it is Friday. And Catharina, welcome.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Mike. Thank you all for your patience.
Yeah. So once again, for everybody to know, Alternative Health Tools, a podcast really that started well over 2 years ago with Lisa Thorpe. And I always wanted to do videos and that sort of thing. So one thing I'm going to do is just drop into the chat room a direct link to Alternative Health Tools, because this recording will be turned in also into an audio so people that can listen to it as well. So Theragem Crystal Light Therapy. I mean, the Thorpe Institute, Intel Bio, Lisa and I are both very passionate about energy and light medicine. And you've got quite a background, Catharina, mainly because you were a model, really?
Oh, thanks. If you say really.
No, that's not what I meant. What I meant was, we've had healthcare practitioners that have done certain things and become healthcare, but never, well, actually, that's not true. We had one other model. So you were anyway, so it's awesome. So you got into it for a very particular reason, didn't you?
Well, yes. My background started when I was way, way young, when my grandmother introduced me as early as I can remember, the early 70s, to cards, to tarot cards, to astrology, to healthy eating and living.
Nice.
And so I had this growing awareness. And when I left my parental home in the 80s, my first house or room actually was behind the first esoteric secondhand bookshop. And my first job was in the first vegetarian restaurant of Holland, where I'm from. So from there, you can't deny the pull and the growing adventure that has happened with this particular field, esoteric, Gnostic, everything, the spiritual side of it. And over the last 10, 15 years, especially the connections between the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels of healing and wellness. So that has always had my interest. And when in mid 2000, I thought, you know what? I'm always giving people advice. I'm always telling them how to live, what to do, how to get healthy, etc., etc. And so I picked up that and started my practice. And this is where we jump in with the Theragem, because I believe that there was always a way of fast healing. I knew that had to be there. I'm a bit impatient, I must say, which is not a bad trait, but it can be. And it was in this case, I had been doing so many different modalities, from reflexology to kinesiology to, you name it. And I always felt it was such hard work. Through the Assemblage Point, where I was a practitioner and a trainer, which I'll get back later, I got connected with Medica Health in 2008, where I was introduced to Theragem Fusion Light Therapy, which was only 2 or 3 years old at the time. And I thought, that's it. I was working with biorezonance, biofeedback at the time. And it took too long for people to see the results. And if you're treating a young girl of 12 years old with eczema, rashes over the whole body, and that it takes 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 15 sessions to heal or to even get into a better shape, and you have to re-educate the parents about the food, and those parents are on Social Security money, they don't have that money. They don't have that patience. They need to see the immediate results. So I bought the Theragem on my credit card as a widow, a single mom, and I was I was studying TCM, traditional Chinese medicine at the time. And my first case was a frozen shoulder, which I'd been working on with acupuncture as a student, mind you, and with some help from colleagues, where I could manage to keep the pain away for 3 to 4 days, and then it would be back on. So every week it was the same repetitive motion almost. And I thought, you know what, I've bought this Theragem device. I'm going to straight away use it. And the first session, the pain was away for 2 weeks. Which was over the Christmas period, which was great. And I had said to the person, please come back to me when you feel pain. So they didn't come back, so I was a bit nervous, of course. And then made a call, said there was a little bit of a tension coming back. So we scheduled a second session. Then in that session, we focus on pain, dissolving pain, and returning the movability, the flexibility. And that was regained in that first session from a total down to sideways up in that second session. And the third session we did a week later, and the pain was completely gone. The next day, she called me up. She said that she'd washed the windows of her house, inside, outside, bottom floor, and top floor. Wow! So I was, thrilled.
So let me stop you for just a minute, because I'm sure people out there want to know who this guy Mike is and your relationship with him. And we'll get into it more, because we'll get into it more. But Mike, who are you?
Well, I actually have started in the world of energy medicine and holistic health about 10 years ago. And interestingly enough, I kind of just stumbled into it. I think Dr. Mercola was the first place I ran across EFT and kind of got into that. And eventually had started learning to market things online. I'm a technical person by trade. I'm an engineer, and I was in technical sales for years. Worked with a company called Tektronix, which I think we talked about earlier, was from your home state as well. Test and measurement equipment, but I'd gotten interested into energy medicine, and I started a telesummit called Living Energy Secrets with my neighbor at the time, doing the interviews. Back in 2009 was our first event, and so it really got us connected to a lot of the leading people in energy healing around the world. And I ran across Theragem at a bioenergy conference in 2011 and loved it. I did a session, and it was a busy, conference floor, all this noise going on. And I lay down in this session, and it just completely chilled out in a 20-minute elation session, which Catharina will talk about later. And it's like I could hear people talking, and I didn't even care, And then I was at over the weekend, I would ask people, which of these devices and things did you like? And they'd always say, well, I like that one over there, and I like that Theragem, or I like that crystal light therapy. And almost everybody would pick two things, and one of them was always the Theragem. And so I decided to buy a unit and to help start promoting the unit and learning how to use it, and just really used it on myself for about 2 or 3 months before I kind of noticed one day that my energy is just better overall. I sing in the local community chorus, and we had a concert one night, and several of us went out afterwards and hung out. And by the time I got home, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hadn't been drinking or anything, but I was 50 years old at the time, and staying up till 3 a.m. will wipe you out for several days at that age. And I woke up about 10 o'clock and felt a little tired, but I didn't feel any of that hungover kind of bad feeling you get for several days. And I realized, wow, I just noticed subtly, because I was pretty healthy, I just noticed subtly how much stronger I was. And I started using it with people
okay, so you were a baritone in the choir, is that right?
a bass, yeah, probably I sing bass. I'm probably mid-range between baritone and bass. But yeah.
Okay, mid-range between bass and baritone, and immediately became a tenor. Is that what happened? No,
Not yet.
no, I'm just kidding. All right. So how did you two meet?
Well, interesting story. It was Catharina came into the company as the sales director and was sent over to America. Her second trip. She'd been over like 20 years before, but was sent over to work with me and help me get started. I set up a bunch of calls as I could. I live in the Southeast, so I'd set up calls in Atlanta and Birmingham and down. We had a conference to attend down on the Gulf Coast, a chiropractic conference. And so anyway, I just picked her up from the airport, and at first she was kind of a gruff European, very, well, is she going to be pleasant or is she going to be hard to deal with? And, turns out she's delightful, but first impression was she was kind of one of these stern European types, but she's not at all. And so we had a trip going through, and funny, one of the first things that was really amazing was we were in Atlanta at 5:00 on a Friday, just running around cold calling people, because I had real trouble getting appointments, because it's just trying to find the right place to get in the door with this is kind of interesting. And we walked in a chiropractic office at 5:00. We were just going to leave them a flyer, and they're sitting around drinking wine, and they had a big crystal in the office, and I said, hey, what's up? And they said, well, we just want to drop this off. What is it? And so we tell them, and they said, well, can you move? Can you do something with arthritis? We got a case here we can't get any movement on. We said, sure, we'll bring it in here. Turns out they hang out till 7:00 because of the traffic in Atlanta. And there was the neighboring hair cutter lady had come in with a bad case of arthritis in her hand. She was wearing a brace on her thumb, and it was her birthday, and she was going to a birthday party. We had about 15 minutes. Do you remember this, Catharina?
Oh, absolutely.
We got about 15 minutes, and so Catharina starts working with her. And you want to tell the story?
Go ahead. You're doing a great job.
All right. Well, anyway, I mean, she said it was about an 8 out of 10 arthritis, and interestingly, she's a hair cutter, so it was right in this area. So Catharina shortcuts the process. Normally, it would have been a longer session, but we do a 20-minute session or 15 minutes. A little bit elation, a little bit on her thumb, and then Catharina starts asking her, what are you holding on to? I think she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or something like that as well. Catharina starts asking her, well, what are you holding on to? And you can see something break, and her space just shifts, and she starts letting go of these emotions. And by the end of the session, she was down to a 0 with a little bit of soreness.
Nice. Very nice. I'm going to pop up a poll right now. Actually, if I can, but I just want to let people know you can actually, people will be able to see this a little bit later, and they can actually type into the chat and to get in touch with you, just so you know.
Okay.
Cool. The evergreen replays are real live on, real and live, just like being live right here. So it's completely interactive as well.
I'm going to shut the door here. There's a little bit of noise behind me, so just 1 second.
So Catharina, what is that thing to your left there?
This is it. This is the Theragem.
Yeah. Well, I want to see it up close and personal,
Oh, yeah, you will. In 2 weeks' time, I will be in San Diego.
I know. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And Mike and I are working on trying to get a location here in Encinitas, but that's it, huh?
This is it.
That is one big cell phone, man. It looks like a big cell phone, really.
Oh, yeah, you could use it. Well, that's interesting that you say that, because it works with lower frequencies, the lower frequency ranges of alpha, beta, theta, and delta. Which are your own brainwave frequencies, as you know. And throughout the day and night, we have a cycle. And this determines whether we sleep well, whether we are awake during the day, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And your mobile phone emits frequencies as well that your body wants to tune to. That's why we're getting into this rush. Well, I'll get into that maybe later. Okay. Anyway, what we do with it is... basically, the top part of this touch screen here shows you the frequencies. Okay, I've turned it on now. It shows you the Theragem with the 4 frequencies, which is a basic standard setting, and it's now on battery. That's okay. So you can select it to balancing, stimulating, energizing, and calming. And those frequencies have been chosen based on what they then are able to bring into the body and the responses, the cascading responses that come from the body cells.
Okay.
We combine that with light, like you see in here. We see with color, which is in here, in this gem cup. This is what we call a gem cup, because inside this gem cup here, there are gems. In this case, it's Ayurvedic sapphires. And all of these gems and crystals and minerals have been chosen on their properties according to ancient traditions. The Ayurveda has a long-standing knowledge and wisdom on crystal healing that has shown time and time again how useful it is. We've combined this with light, as it has properties to bring it further into the body. The cells will naturally absorb this. Together with gold and silver, which is also in the gem cup, together with a color filter, which is vegetable-based, and a food-grade resin, which is the side of this cup. And then it's combined with pulsed electromagnetic frequencies, the chosen one, together with white noise, the sound of the universe after the Big Bang, which allows us to keep the body open and receptive to the frequencies that are being given. So you can be repetitive in your choice of therapy sessions, and gem cup, and Schumann resonance, which helps the body to expand and feel at ease. The gem cups are then easily sorted out, chosen to the one that you want to, and are clicked into the system. You put it on the device here, and that's basically how it works. And you turn it on.
So how long is each session typically? I mean, sure, it's dependent on so many different factors, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of research gone into this. Ideally, a session lasts 20 minutes per chosen area. But some sessions are longer because of the severity of the condition. We had one case in which we saw a lady with a severe burn of a 3rd-degree necrosis state, in which she held a Theragem with Ayurvedic emerald gems on 48 hours. And repeated that every day after that with 1 hour emeralds on a calming frequency. And within 2 weeks, the skin was closed. And within 2 months, she came to a medical conference in Germany where you could not see that she had a burn that heavy, because that would normally mean a skin graft. So it depends on the condition. It depends on the constitution and how you treat the person, of course, how receptive they are.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, one thing, John, that's interesting about this is, while the Theragem is a fairly new technology, as Catharina said, about 10 years old, this technique goes back to the ancient world, where they would take people out in sunlight and put gemstones on different parts of the body. And then there was developments earlier in the UK back at least in the 70s, where they would manually balance gemstones and shine light through them electrically. So while the Theragem is not as old as some of the things that are out there, the Theragem made it so compact and easy to use. And before, it might take an hour or two just to balance the gemstones for each session. And of course, electronics has gotten a lot more compact and easier to use. So it's just, I think the great thing about it is every one of these elements that she's mentioned, the color, the light, the gemstones, the frequencies, are all well-known healing modalities. It's not one of these things where, some of these devices, which can be great, but they're like, this is scalar, wah, 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 wah. And you're like, really, it looks like a rock to me, but this is actual, real, well-known modalities that are all well-tested and time-proven in their own right.
No, I get that. I told you I work with Lisa Thorpe, who is my co-host on the podcast at the Thorpe Institute and Intel Bioenergetics. And a lot of what they do is with their device, basically they detect impedance in the body, basically using the acupuncture points, and then detect where that impedance is and then re-energize that area with microcurrent at 1/1000th of an amp. And so a lot of their protocols have been worked and based on ancient things we already know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and definitely when you guys are here, I want you to meet Lisa. Okay, I think it'll be a great connection for you. It'll be really, really good.
It will be. If I can add to that, John,
Sure.
Is that you brought up a really specific subject there about the microcurrents and the acupuncture points. The beauty about it, as I've seen it, working now for 10 years, almost 10 years, working with it myself in practice and as here occasionally in my office even. What we've seen is that it is such a versatile product because a versatile therapy, I should say, because it's about adding life energy to the cells, to the point where, because this is all done non-invasively,
right,
is that you're actually working on the totality of the person. Yes, if you do shine that light over with Ayurvedic sapphires on a balancing frequency over the crown, yes, you shine it on the head. But if you then realize that you're addressing the crown chakra, but you're also addressing all the major points of the meridian, that is the Dumai or the governing vessel, you're also addressing the left brain and the right brain. You're also addressing the corpus callosum and the major glands within the head that are releasing hormones and chemical secretions. So by doing that, you're on the balancing frequency, is that you're allowing the body to come to a rest and allowing the body then to choose what is necessary to get into balance. And as a practitioner, with your own capabilities and with your own skills and your knowledge, you can then guide it to the right point using needles, using moxa, using reflexology, or whatever it is that you're doing, and allowing the body to flow it to the right point, which is what is the next step in this process for us as Theragem practitioners, is to treat the spleen. The spleen is a major part of our health being because of the immune system, the clearance of the motorway, which is our blood, and the building up of our immune white blood cells.
Yeah.
So in that respect, you're then clearing the motorway for this cascading response, which gets its height up until 8 to 9 hours after the session. So it's a growing theme there. So we see often that people after the session of just what we call elation over the crown and over the spleen with diamond and carnelian, we see that they have a deeper night's sleep. They are rejuvenated with energy, and that major conditions get only an improvement in energy levels. That's already a major feature because it's adding to the quality of life. And then you can start working on symptoms directly, be it pain, because that's often the major point. That's often why people come to see a practitioner, because they're in pain, or work with people on long-term degenerative conditions.
Awesome. Most of the practitioners, it often comes up in when we're talking with them that many of them recommend making very sure that you're basically asleep and start about 11 o'clock at night. Because for about 6 hours, the body goes through a regeneration process, and the spleen is a really, like you had said, is a really, really important part of it. So it's like I have several friends that work real hard, and they have a tendency to, like, they work in technology, so they work late at night. And a few of these people have been really sick, and I said, why don't you just try going to sleep and being in bed by 11 o'clock? And just do it for a week and see if there's any kind of change and difference. And in every single case, people say, oh yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. Mainly because they're trying to stay awake, and they're fighting to the body's natural cycle to heal itself during these periods. Yeah. So it's obvious that the Theragem would be really, really useful for people that are basically in that sort of a work cycle in terms of giving assistance to the body. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I realize what you say. I do agree with what you're saying there, and I'm glad to hear that it's such a simple advice that can help them change around.
Yeah.
The other part is that they don't realize that if they don't do that particular sleeping sequence and get that well-deserved rest, is that it adds to longer-term problems in 5 to 10 to 15 years' time.
Right.
And then it's much harder to change that present circumstance because the cells are, of course, they have a flexibility, but at the same time, that flexibility is only lasting for a certain amount of time. And if you abuse regularly your body like that, and probably with junk food as well, then of course, we know the whole sequence of it.
Right.
And one of the grand things that I'm seeing, luckily, that many more younger people are receptive to alternative complementary healing or integrative devices that are non-invasive and step away from the conventional medicine.
Yeah. There's absolutely a lot of that here. I was telling Mike, I think that Encinitas, where I live, Encinitas is like the yoga capital of the world. There's more yoga, not centers, but yoga studios, yoga studios in Encinitas per capita than anywhere else in the world. So when you guys get down here, we were talking, I know you're going to be in San Diego, but Encinitas, we'll find the right location for you. I mean, we already know where it is, but Mike and I need to work out the details of getting it all set up. But I mean, you're going to be preaching to the choir.
Oh, lovely! Yeah,
and you've already got a bass and a baritone. So, what are you, soprano?
No,
I'm tenor.
Nice.
Okay. Well, I've been told that I was quite low in the regions of the female voices, so right. I wouldn't know. You can assess me when I'm there.
Okay, so let's talk about your trip. Okay, so when do you arrive and where in the United States? And today, just so everybody knows, is April 14th, 2017, one day before the infamous tax day here in the U.S.
Oh, that's why it's quiet.
It's also Good Friday, and it's observed here quite a bit. So
good. Okay, yeah, we love that. I love those days when it's quiet, when there's some well-deserved rest.
Yes.
I'm arriving for a conference from the 27th of April, which is a Thursday, 28th and the 29th.
Okay.
Which is, in
what conference? Yeah, what conference is that? In case somebody. I'm sorry.
The best answer for cancer.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, Mike mentioned it. I'd forgotten.
No, it's okay. Then either we have a day off, or we are on the Sunday, or we are visiting people. That's still in the plotting, I think, in the planning. And then we're visiting Mike on the 1st of May.
Yeah, we have a schedule, and I know you posted a link. I also have a website. It's just San Diego Yes, San Diego YES, in case people are listening to this and driving around.
Yeah.
And that basically just forwards to our website. I wanted something easy to hear and be able to translate. But on the week of the 1st to the 5th, we're basically available. What we're looking at is Encinitas, hopefully on that Tuesday for the event that John's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I know Monday afternoon we're going to be in Solano Beach at Inner Balance Acupuncture from 3 to 6, working with the acupuncturist there, and she's got some clients and people, other therapists will be coming in.
So is that open to the public or not?
Yeah, just if people will just go to sandiegoyes.com and just contact us through there. There's a contact form, and my phone number's on there. Since I'm in the U.S., my phone number's there, so they can contact me. We can visit on site if somebody has their own clinic. We're happy to come out there and demonstrate this. We're looking at Friday, the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, as it turns out, a big day in San Diego.
Yes.
We're going to be at what was formerly called the Hillcrest Wellness Center, and I'm glad it's actually now called Well Space. They just changed the name.
Uh-huh.
But it's in North Hillcrest, just north of Balboa Park. And I'm in Tennessee. In Nashville, there's Hillsboro, and I keep calling it Hillsboro. It's Hillcrest Wellness Center.
Well, you call it Hillsboro because you used to work at Tektronix in Hillsboro, probably.
That's right. Hillsboro, Oregon, too. And so we basically, on the 6th and 7th, we have a full training on the Theragem that Catharina and I will be leading. So if anyone is interested, again, that website, sandiegoyes.com,
right,
you can sign up for the training. But on the 5th, we also have reserved the space in the same center. So we're going to be set up with also a thermal imaging or a thermography company.
Mm-hmm. Which company is that?
Total Thermal Imaging out of La Mesa.
Okay.
And they're experts. They've been in 30 years business. We were connected through Thornton Streeter and Kimberly Shipke, if you know them, from the Energy Medicine Exchange.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of them. I haven't met them.
But wonderful folks. But so we'll be there all day too, so people can come in and schedule a time. I actually have a schedule on the website. So for people in Greater San Diego, but we do plan to spend at least Tuesday, hopefully, in Encinitas. We'll be in Solano Beach, like I say, Monday afternoon. Thursday morning, we're going to be at the Global Heart Sanctuary with their practitioners. Mm-hmm. And I think that's either in Solano Beach or Ocean Beach, or I can't remember exactly where they are now. Mm-hmm. But we'll have the schedule on that website. So basically, we're open that week to come out and to do talks in the evening. We do have a talk planned for Thursday evening in La Mesa, and we'll have that on the website. We'll have a talk on Friday evening at the Hillcrest Wellness Center WellSpace location that's available to the public. Again, both of these will be free and available to the public as well. So
okay.
Catherine will be talking.
Awesome. So I did drop Jessica Louis Brand's Biofield Tuning podcast link there.
Okay.
Might want to check it out. She works during the day for a thermal imaging company here in Encinitas. Mm-hmm. Really impressed with these people. They do a lot of deep research.
Good.
But her personal passion has to do with biofield tuning using tuning forks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, part of my goal and ambitions with you guys is partially to just get you connected to the right people here.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
We do use a heart rate variability system, I'll call the Heart Quest, which we also can show before and after physiologically what's going on. So we'll be doing that at the show as well as during our visits. So it's a very experiential treatment. And one of the interesting things is, and there's actually a picture of a young lady on the website before and after an energy session, and you can see in her eyes the difference. And one of the first things when I first met Catharina, we went into a therapist's office, and Catharina did a session with her, and she got up, and it's one of this lady's clients happened to walk in the door right as we were about to leave, and Catharina was saying, "Your eyes are different. You look different." And I'm a guy; we're not quite as in tune as the women are to these things typically, and I'm like, "She's just shining her on, or is this for real?" And so this lady had a client walk in right at that moment who had no idea what had gone on. She goes, "Do I look different to you?" And the lady goes, "Yeah, you do. You do look different." And then a couple days later, I followed up with a therapist, and she said that she had a emotional breakdown that night, and she cried for 3 hours, and she had that much of a release from this session. So
I was going to say, yeah,
it's remarkable what we've seen, and the eyes really tell the story.
Sure.
I was actually at a local little woo-woo fair, I call it, here in Huntsville, Alabama, a few months ago, and I did a little talk for about a dozen people. And I said, anybody want to just come up here and experience this while I'm talking? And sure, this lady volunteered, came and sat in the chair. I'm running the elation on her head while I'm doing a talk right next to her in front of 12 strangers. The session ends, and she just visibly was emotional. She was crying. I said, do you want to share with us? She goes, yeah, I've had all this stuff going on. Somebody died and somebody was in an accident, all this stuff. But I needed to release it. And you could just see in her face, it was just amazing to do that in front of a bunch of strangers, just totally without, you've been in technical sales. You never want to demonstrate something you don't know the outcome of. But, hey, we can do that with this.
No, I can vouch for that. Occasionally I do sessions here in my office while people are... So I've got this massage table there, a lovely setup and everything, with a little blanket over it. So they're all comfortable. And I'm still working here, picking up the phone. And so they go and do their own thing. I'm just running the therapy as it is. And one day there was this this man in his 60s, not too long ago, and he was complaining about hip pain. Mm-hmm. So I ran the Theragem on him, and he fell asleep. An hour or so later, he woke up, and then he stood up, and he said, "The pain is gone." Okay, yeah, that's the intent. So, okay, great. And then said, "Yeah, but I've been on 12 times. What was it? Cocodamol a day."
Wow.
Yes, it was quite heavy. And that was over several months. So he said, well, I'm glad it's now gone because I took one this morning, but the pain is really gone now. That was in January. And up until this day, he's been without pain. So needless to say, he can't believe it himself. Mm-hmm. He's really like flabbergasted about it, what happened there. But it's all down to allowing that deep rest to come in and allowing that resetting of the body to remember what the original blueprint is.
Yeah,
and to allow that time. Yes.
Nice.
And John, you mentioned the Native American type of healing out there, and maybe Catherine, you could touch on the Assemblage Point, because I think that would really appeal to those folks, especially.
Yeah, that's true. The Assemblage Point, and I'm saying it like sandwich point, so I'll just do very, very carefully. The Assemblage Point is a point in the electromagnetic field of the human energy body. And we are all made, every living being is made out of electromagnetic frequencies field.
Yep.
And in that field, it is a grid. It's not a field as such as an aura, which is kind of dense, let's put it that way. It's one thing. But it's like a grid with a center point in it. And that center point is like your north, south, and south pole that runs straight through the body, approximately at heart level on the breastbone. Mm-hmm. And through that point, on the front side and on the back side, energy runs through it, similarly to the north and the south pole of our Earth. And when that point is in the correct position, you will feel grounded. Your energy field will be strong. Your immune system will be up and running. Things may hit you, but at the same time, you will brush them off. They won't stick on you. Mm-hmm. At the same time, through our lives, through social pressure, through emotional pressure, through physical traumas, your assemblage point can move out of that correct position. And that has been established to be a correct point in the physical field by Dr. Angela Blaine from Devon, United Kingdom. And she set up the Assemblage Point Association, which I worked with at the time and still do from time to time. And she has measured it with an EAV meter. We've checked it with a galvanometer. The Gauss measurements on that point are 500 times stronger than any nearby point in the vicinity on your skin. The point that I want to make is that when you are going through emotional or physical traumas, the assemblage point can move out of that correct position. And it moves within the shoulder and the side of the body until the navel area. And through that, we can see changes happening because the amount of energy that runs through that point is too high for those cells to contain, to do anything with it. It doesn't nurture them, it throws them off their rocker, if you wish to say.
Yeah.
That has physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual implications, running from hallucinations, to cancer, multiple sclerosis, to dementia, liver problems, from alcohol to frustration, inner or outer frustration, panic attacks, and you can name the whole scala. By discovering this, we've mapped that out. And with that map, we can determine whether the assemblage point should be brought back to its correct position, or that someone has a sufficient amount of energy to push it back into its correct position. But that takes a long... It takes a consciousness awareness and certain other things as well to be able to correct that assemblage point by yourself. And with the Theragem, we can reconnect the assemblage point with the conscious mind, the ego, if you wish, the other than conscious mind, everything that you're not aware of on this physical plane, and the connection with your higher self, through which you are being fed your true original blueprint on all those levels. And when that happens, you'll be able to establish a grounding, a feeling good at yourself, with yourself, a sense of direction in your life, and you're then able to get in touch with who you truly are and what direction your life should take, without second guessing it with your brain, because your body will tell you. If you give you a quick example of this, is if someone has, like, for example, an allergy or an eczema, and they are supposed to eat a certain diet, right? That will keep them healthy and sane. It is definite that the assemblage point has moved out of its correct position. And when we then push it back into the right position, or allow it to go back to the right position, what then will happen is that person won't be ruled by his body, like, oh, I want that ice cream, or I want that particular bread, or, you know, the yearning for, the craving for, but they will allow themselves to drink that tea or that other, whatever diet they're on, because their body has a way of then expressing itself in the correct way, in the right way. And that is tremendously helpful in discerning whether someone is definitely ill, or if they are out of an illness, etc., and how to help them to get into better shape on all those levels.
All right, I do want to wind this up, closely approaching it now, but Catharina, I'm going to ask you a question I ask everybody, which is, can you name one defining moment in your life where everything changed?
There are many of those. Yes, one defining name.
One defining moment.
One defining moment. Okay. The latest one, the biggest one, was my step to go to my family and asked them to help me buy this company, Medica Health, from my business partner.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was a big step. That was one divining moment, because it wasn't just a company, it was also the talks with my family and asking their support.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can't ask for support from your family, I mean, yeah. Awesome.
Well, I'm probably quite proud, and I want to do it all by myself. But at that moment, I recognized I needed help.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Mike, how about you? A defining moment. You've had a few minutes to think about it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a one as you said that. Yeah, I think, that there was a real defining moment, and I guess a long time ago, when I just was having a situation in my life that was very, I was about 30 years old and just confused, relationship situation. I guess that's always our springboard, it seems like. And I had just run across this simple meditation technique, which I'd never really tried that before. And the first time I couldn't do it at all. I was just kind of thinking of your fingers tingling. And the second time I did it, I just got a flash of clarity that just showed me what I needed to do in this situation. It was like, boom.
Wow.
So that was what really started me on the path of realizing what we call more conscious living or conscious awareness. And that's been a long time ago, but it's a very defining moment that still stands out.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, great. Let's wind it up, and I'm just thinking we could touch base next week, but Mike and I will too.
Yeah.
So through the expertise system, Catharina, can I contact you later as well?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this interview. Yeah. Very pleasurable.
Yes, thank you. It's wonderful. Really.
Yeah, good. We had a few bumps. What'll happen is that in the back end, I'll basically choose this recording and, actually make it more available for other people. We didn't actually have anybody here at all. I'm not surprised. It was a late invitation that went out last night, but I'm going to resend it out to everyone. So thank you very much both for being here.
Likewise. Well, thank you. And we'll send it out to my list. I've got a list of several thousand energy healing people, and we'll put it on the website there as well. And,
okay. I'll send you a link to that, because it'll probably mostly be the landing page that gets sent to people.
Okay.
Yeah, send it to me as well, and John, please.
It'll take a couple hours for expertise to render it, because what's really nice is that the system actually render it for television, for a phone, for tablets, for every other media out there, so that when people actually bring it up on their phone, it renders it properly for that, sort of like that.
Wonderful.
So it takes a little bit of time.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lovely.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Day.
See you soon.
Right. Thank you, John.
See you soon. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, dear.